Hey folks, JD here, and today we have this. This is the Eachine E520S. Right then, let's open this up and have a little look and see what we have inside. Right then, here is the quadcopter. This is the Eachine, this is the E520S. Now, there is quite a lot I want to say about this. I bought this as a bit of a whim, in all fairness. I saw that it had come out. I do like my Eachine quadcopters. I've had some very high success rate with Eachine stuff over the years, and I decided I wanted to go for this. I really wanted to see what it was like. It has this really sort of Bugs-esque, angry, insectoid face to the front of it, as well as a lot of other features. Now this is, I think, now since I've got this in my hand, I'm going to make a rash judgment very, very early on, which is not one that I normally make, but I'm going to at this point, and I'm going to say that I paid too much for this quadcopter in its current configuration. So I got two batteries, one in here and one in there. This is the 5G Wi-Fi 1080p option. There are about 6 or 7 different versions that you can buy. Mine's the 1080p 5G, and I paid around about 85-86 plus postage for this, and I think, as I have this in my hand, I think I paid too much. But let's expand on that. Let's see exactly where we go. Right then, first of all, look at that. We've got the camera to the front, got a nice little tab over the front, very standard, just to protect the lens and the lens cover. Now, one thing you may notice is that this particular camera looks like it's on upside down, or at least the front bit of it is, and I can't twist it. It manually moves up and down. It's not on a gimbal. It kind of... No, it's not. It's on a fake gimbal. There is absolutely no cushioning there whatsoever. That's just solid plastic. But as you can see, it's upside down. Now, whether or not that means that's just the covering of it is upside down, or whether the camera is, there's only one way we can find out, and that is when we test it. So what I'll do is I'll have a little look and see what happens when we test it, and see whether this is around the right way or if it is around the wrong way. Now, working our way up, we have the two LEDs at the top here. Let's just click this battery in and turn it on and see what we get. Yeah, so we get white flashing LEDs from the front, blue flashing LEDs on the underside as well as blue flashing LEDs from the top. So, oh, that's quite stiff at the back there. So, working our way up, as we said, we have the insectoid eyes, then we have this very sort of nice sort of flat matte black plastic on the top of it here. It feels a bit rubberized. There is one thing I'm getting from this quadcopter, and it feels a lot like the Eachine E520S. It really does. It looks like it's your big sort of Mavic Air clone, or Mavic clone rather, but it does, because of the weight and because of the plastic used, it's very, very thin plastic, gives the impression that it is very plasticky, and that is, you are going to have that. This isn't rough, this isn't tough plastic. If I can show you, there's a lot of squish in it. It does move quite a lot, which, you know, you don't want it to be rigid, but at the same time I do like to have quite hard plastics used. This is very rubberized, and it is very, very thin plastic. Across the top we can see this quadcopter has got a GPS module, so it will have that extra steady hold. Towards the back we have this battery. Now these batteries are 7.4 volt 1200 milliamp hour batteries. These are, well, let me see what we got. Micro USB on the side there to charge. You're looking at a charge time of around about 120 minutes, just over 2 hours, and a flight time of 14 to 16 minutes. So I'm going to go on record and say that I'm expecting this flight time to be about 14 minutes, more towards the 14 minutes than I am towards the 16, but we'll see for definite when we take her out. Now I'm going to check the other battery I have here just to ensure they are both the same and that there's no issues there. Yeah, there we are. 1200 milliamp hour, 25C discharge, 7.4 volt. That's pretty standard. And we have our micro USB ports on the side there to charge. You do also get a micro USB cable with it, and some spare propellers, and a little screwdriver in there as well as a little accessory pack. So that's okay. So I'm going to leave these batteries to one side because I'm going to charge those separately before the flight. Looking back at the quadcopter, let's just turn her over now. We have two landing sprigs here on the bottom, which coincide with the landing sprigs on the front here. We'll come back to that in a second. Working our way directly under here, we have some aeration holes at the bottom there. As you can see, I don't know how well because of the lighting in here, but if you have a little look towards the back here, you should be able to see that there's a bit of light. If I can just angle this possibly, there's a bit of light going in the back, and then you can just see my finger underneath there, just showing that these holes are actually cut out and that they will provide a bit of aeration for the battery. Working our way forward, we have a micro SD writer inside there. Now this is quite strange. Normally With this, you'll have a manufacturer that will say no card over 32 gig. It seems to me that they're all using the same module. This module is different. This states that you can use up to a maximum of 128 gigabyte SD card. And also, don't forget, this is the 1080p version, but there is a 4K video version as well. Now, for that, I would recommend you use a Class 10 SD card, nothing else. As you know, I use Class 10 SD cards in everything from my GoPro to all my quads, no matter if it's toy grade, professional, hobby, they all get the same treatment. I have a load of SD cards here, and they're all Class 10. I'll be using the same one in here, which is a 64 gig Class 10 card. You got your 5G antenna here, and then you have, as we come back to the front, you have your camera there, which is not motorized, but does mean that you have to angle it yourself. So probably take it up, see what position it's at, and then angle it accordingly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to angle it just slightly down, just slightly like that. So it's about maybe 20 degrees from the top. That just allows you, when you positive pitch, you're not going to just directly see the grass, and therefore when you are hovering as well, hopefully at an altitude, you should be able to see some horizon there as well, so you're not always going to be looking at the same thing. So that's the quad. Looks quite nice. I quite like it, you know. I think it's really quite smart looking. I'm a bit taken aback by the build quality. I think that build quality leaves a little bit to be desired. I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit better. I mean, you can't really see here, but oh yeah, you can actually. There's a little ribbon cable in there which just attaches the camera to the camera module inside there. I'd prefer that to be nice and sort of covered up rather than just on show, in case anything was to come up there and snip it when you land. The actual clicking in of the arms, it is on a ratchet system towards the back, and the front is not on the same ratchet system, but does actually move in there quite nicely. I would like to have seen that click in a little bit more, rather than just have that sort of, I don't know, that's not a very definite click. Not enough for me. The back is nice. You get that very definite click from both arms. On the front you don't, and that worries me a little bit. I'd like to have seen a little bit more with that. But the overall size, the overall shape of the quadcopter, I appreciate that. I think that's quite good. But what about your our flying weight? That's the question I have now. So let's just move all this out of the way, and let's get my scales on the go. Now I'm thinking this is going to be under 250 grams. It certainly feels like it is. So I've got the battery in the back there. I'm going to fold these up a little bit just so that it fits on my tiny scales there. So we're zeroed out there. Yep. Okay, put that on, and we are looking at 243 grams. So you are under the 250 gram limit there for quadcopters in a lot of areas. That's good. I like what they've done there. Now I can sort of imagine why they would have used thinner plastics just to get that under the 250 gram. And to be honest, if that is the reason that they've done that, then I'm quite happy that they have, because at least it opens up this quad to a lot of other people for flying them, rather than just having everything over. You know, we've seen so many 5G quadcopters recently which are over 250 grams. It's nice to have one which has a full GPS module, 5G. Hopefully the camera's going to be passable, but coming in at under 250 grams. That's the nice thing. So we've been through the batteries, we've been through some of the accessories there. We've also get some propeller guards should you want to use them, and we also get the transmitter as well. Now the transmitter is your very, very bog standard transmitter with fake antennas. These antennas absolutely serve absolutely no purpose whatsoever, so I'm going to do the same with these as I do to all of them. I'm just going to rip them off because they annoy me and they serve no purpose. So this particular transmitter, we know it is a very standard transmitter. It just works, and that's why I think I like this. other than the antennas, which are just useless, the fake ones rather, these little things here. I like this transmitter on the whole because it's bare, it's basic, it works. And you know what, I've never had one of these fail. They don't look pretty, they don't sit in your hand very well. They've tried to copy DJI by having your FPV boom underneath there for your phone to sit in. Works quite well, does okay, but more than anything, it's just basic. So let's start off with some of these buttons up here. So we have emergency stop up here, automatic takeoff, automatic landing. You've got headless mode, you've got return to home, you've got compass calibration. Obviously you've got your left and right buttons there. Ooh, that wasn't good. That made a very definite click, that did. Okay, we'll see whether that's actually working when I take her up. Let's hope so. Let's hope I haven't got a dud right analog stick there. Oh well, we'll soon find out. Then you've got your speed mode. This comes with 3 speed modes. Then you've got orbital here, I'm guessing, for another feature. That's what it was in a quadcopter a couple of weeks ago. Then you've got record video and take photo there as well. All in all, it's, you know, as I say, it's very basic. It doesn't do a lot. It just sits in your hand. It doesn't feel very nice, but at the same time, it's just as basic as you get. And to be honest, I don't think you can ask for much more than that. As for the batteries in the back, we have a little Phillips screw just holding us back from looking at what we have inside there. So I'm just going to take this off. We should have, I think this is it's either going to be 3 AA's or 4 AA's inside here. So let's open it up. Oh, we've got 4 AA's inside there. Make sure that batteries you use are fully charged, as this transmitter does not allow USB charging of any sort whatsoever. So can I just put that back in there? Oh, that fits in very, very... Oh, there we go. Perfect. And that's the transmitter. Very basic, does exactly what it says in the tin, hopefully. I had a bit of an issue in moving that, so I'm hoping something did click. I'm hoping that's not going to make any difference to the flight, but we'll soon see. Doesn't feel as if it will, but we'll see when we take her out. So that's the transmitter, very basic. Hopefully it's going to work as we expect. So I'm just going to pop that at the back there with the quadcopter. So that is everything that we have included with this. Oh, actually no, it's not. I'm forgetting one very valuable thing here, and that is you get 2 manuals. One of them, fold-in drone manual, and the other one is in a different language. So I'm going to put one to one side. Now this just goes into everything to do with the quad. How to calibrate the compass, how to calibrate the gyros, how to use the app. Here's your QR codes up here then for the app. The app is called Eachine GPS. I am going to be going over this in a separate video just so that we can go through it and so everybody knows exactly how to use the app properly. Have a read of this manual. It is very, very good. As manuals go, it does take you into all parts of the quadcopter, tells you how to calibrate, tells you how to charge your batteries, tells you how to fly. It goes through a hell of a lot, especially a 1 key return to home as well. Pretty much everything is covered, including common troubleshooting there should you have any trouble in taking your quadcopter off. Right friends, I think I'm going to call that there. I think the next thing to do now is to get this up in the air. So, let's take her up. You know what, the more I look at this, the more I think they've done a really good job with the styling and copying the Mavic 2. I really do think they've done a good job on the style, apart from the upside down camera, or the upside down camera faceplate at least. So let's pop her on. Let's see what we've got. Let's pop on the transmitter, single 1 up and 1 down to bind. Now what I'm going to do, now that we're bound, I'm going to open up and I'm going to see whether we have any broadcasting network. We should have, and it shouldn't require any sort of security, any sort of password, so we should. There we are, bam, straight in there, bish bash bosh. So now we've got that, just give it a couple of seconds for it to connected. Let's pop it in there, then let's open up. Oh, am I pushing on too many buttons? Nope, there we go, fine. Then let's open up, come on, Eachine. Yeah, there we go, thanks very much for making a really loud obnoxious beep. There we are, right. Bam. Has drone magnetometer been calibrated? No. Let's do it now. Fantastic. So up, twist, the usual sort of quadcopter stance, and then keeping one weather eye down. Is that camera up or down? Camera is up by the look of it. They never tell you. And then twist again. Has to be a well over a meter. There we go. And now we are calibrated. Signal is normal. Now what I'm not expecting, oh look at the refresh rate of that. That is, do you know what? We never expect a lot from these cameras anyway, and you shouldn't. But at the same time, I really don't, there we are, I really don't like bad refresh rate. Right, okay, perfect. Let's record my screen just so that we've got something there with the telemetry information in so we can see a little bit more of what this quadcopter's doing. For the second, we have 10 satellites, so we're above the standard 7 to ensure that we have a safe flight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit 1 key takeoff, and she should take off, and she should stay at a particular level. Now she may not because I'm controlling via the transmitter, so I'm going to use the 1 key takeoff system there instead. That hasn't worked either. Okay. Whoa! Did you see that? Was very odd. Now she's increasing her altitude on her own, which might be that she has a minimum altitude that she has to stick to, which I've not heard of in one of these quads before. So I'm not going to say there's something wrong with it for the second. She is most certainly not increasing past that point. She's currently sat at a height of 4 meters. And normally, with the Xiaomi Fimi A3, its standard takeoff altitude is 4 meters. So I'm not going to turn around at this point and say, oh, something's drastically wrong, because it might not be. Now the problem is as I carry on flying, oh, right, I've been spoilt by a lot of these larger quads. Okay, get in the game, JD. Let's have a little look then, fella. Let's go back to flying safely and flying conservatively and not putting as much trust in a quad. So what have we got? So we're flying around. I'm finding the yaw and the roll to be very sensitive, extremely sensitive. Those brushless motors are banging about. You can hear them. Do you know what they are? Most brushless motors you can hear, and you can hear from quite a distance. See that long yaw? That was my fault, by the way. On purpose, that was. If I just bring her back for yaw and roll, see, she spins quite well. She rotates and she turns quite well. Right, so what was I going to say? If I just stop there, air brakes have kicked in, and she's sticking at an altitude of 6.1 meters. Okay, so she must have an auto altitude of 4 meters. That's fine. She's not giving me any cause for concern when she's up there at this moment. Let's get some video and see exactly how this looks. Right then, let's take her out a little bit further. So I'm just going to ever so slowly increase the positive pitch percentage and just make sure that she flies without there being any problem. We've done a little sort of acrobatic display view here. I'm just going to take her out a little bit further and let's see how she goes. So distance wise, distance 25, 30 meters. I'm not going to be pushing her too far because this isn't a distance machine. There we are, 40 meters and still full video. Those white LEDs on the front, again, very, very bright, showing that you can see orientation very, very easily. Now this isn't in the fastest speed mode. Speed mode 2 increases the angle of attack. Speed mode 3 increases the angle of attack again. Don't forget, with speed mode 3, you are going to be needing to increase your altitude exactly as I have done there. From its standard 6 meters, I just increased it to 9 because with you pitching so far forward, she might, as a lot of toy quads do, find herself that she does end up dropping quite high. So just using yaw flips her around but does confuse her a bit. She keeps on turning. She doesn't turn and then stop. Ooh, that was a bit weird. I'm just going to stop her there for a second because that was a little bit odd. So what I'm going to do, I don't want the battery to kill itself too quickly, so I'm just going to put it back to speed mode 1. Already, from going on speed mode 3, we've gone from a percentage of 75% battery down to 58. So that just shows you, with recording video and the GPS module working constantly, and we've only been recording video for 1 minute and 48. That shows you exactly what to expect from the battery. So if you are to fly at full chat with full video going, your battery is going to cane itself. And that's to be expected. It's not a fault of this particular quad, it's a fault of battery technology throughout the world. Our battery technology is not keeping up to our demands with our current technology, and that's just known. As a little flyer, she seems to be okay, but I'm a bit concerned about stability. Now, when she took off, she feathered a little bit to the right-hand side before she then elevated. And I haven't seen any issues since, but she is very, very light on the sticks. Extremely light. And it's that yaw that when she yaws around, what way was I turning there? Let me try and see if I can simulate it again. I believe I was turning right. I think if you hit with roll first, then your yaw and roll is a lot more successful than if you just yaw. I try not to just yaw, I'm not a fan of it. See, yaw, she really does keep on going, she keeps on gliding, she doesn't snap back as soon as you put the position of the analog stick back. Okay, so far we've seen that she moves quite well. We've seen that she flies. Her altitude is currently at 9.9 meters. It's now at 10, thankfully. 9.9. That's not going to be the case. It's 10 or nothing. So she's now at 10 meters altitude. We've taken her out to over 50 meters. I'm not going to really push this one any more than that. I don't see this as being a long distance flyer. I mean, it's just not built for it. This is more of a little field flyer where you're not going to be taking her too far. I mean, she's going to cover a little bit of distance, but you're not going to be able to do, you know, through the clearing and over. And just to let you know, that is, you know, 200 meters plus. So you're just not going to be able to do that. So that's not something that I'm going to try, because it's going to fall out the sky and we're probably going to lose transmission range. So far, this is just speed mode 1. As we have no wind here today whatsoever, I don't need anything else. She's not getting blown about. She's not getting battered. It's the best conditions for a brushed quad. Those brushed motors, as I was saying earlier before, once again, I went off on another tangent. Years ago, brush motors made this very, very sound. Very loud, very almost like a hollow sound. And then brush motors got better as technology does move on. I've got a couple of brushed quads and coreless quads that hardly make a sound, but obviously you can tell that they are brushed because their movements are not as nice as brushless. But at the same time, these motors do take me back. They make me think of quads from yesteryear, from 2, 3, 4 years ago. And it makes me wonder if the motors in this quad, I'm gonna say they are, the motors in this quad are probably from a few years back. Now that's not necessarily a downside, but at the same time, I don't want you, because we've been spoilt by the Tello and by a load of other brushed and coreless quads, I don't want you thinking that this is going to be as quiet as that. They're not. These are larger cans. They are providing enough lift, and they are providing exactly what this quad needs, which is okay. And you know, another thing that stands out, I'll just let you know, we're down to 29% battery as well. Just to let you know as well, I don't believe we've lost signal either. We've not lost FPV relay at any point. So we're still keeping that FPV dream alive. So that again is another good thing. But I am a little bit concerned. Just, she doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence just about the overall flight. I don't know why. There's something that just doesn't feel right, and it's not from what I've seen, because what I'm showing you is what I've seen. So I don't quite know what it is. There's just something about it that just doesn't feel right to me. And it might just be because I've been flying these much higher, better quality quads, brushless quads, been flying the FEMI, the Xeno, DJI quads, do you know what I mean? So I've really been branching out with the manufacturers and branching out with the technology. So maybe it's just that I'm a little bit inexperienced again, because I haven't flown a toy quad like this in quite a long time. It might just be that. I'm not entirely sure. But so far, I mean, you can see, if I was to bring her down a little way, her responses, see, are pretty good. You know, she is quite responsive. She is moving exactly, and she is responding to every request. So it's not as if it's a transmitter issue. And you can see she's die straight. You know, so I have no concerns about the majority of this quad. There's just something about it, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. I've got a couple of other batteries with this. I'm going to be taking her up again after this and giving her another go and seeing exactly how she does. That just stopped all of its own. So I'm going to do, as it is signifying low battery at 22%, I'm going to bring her back. Have we got a return to home function, I wonder? Yes, we do. So I'm going to try that and see exactly how she does. Do not operate functions when returning aircraft. So I'm going to see exactly how well she does with returning home. Because usually, I find, do you know what, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to bring her down. I'm going to check how high her return to home altitude is. Because that was up there. That was up there. Now she's hovering there now at 7.5 meters. Return to home parameters. Default height of waypoint. Maximum height of waypoint. Default height of homeward 0. Maximum stay of every 0. Maximum radius of waypoint 50. Maximum height of waypoint. It doesn't actually give me a return to home option. Takeoff and signal as well. Speed low, well, we know that. It's not giving me a return to home altitude. Speed of waypoint, maximum stay time of waypoint. I would have thought it would have been in here with the parameters. which is quite weird how she's not doing it. And I don't want it to automatically hit return to home, because for a quad like this, she was up there. She really was up there. And I don't want her going too high, quite simply because I don't know which direction she's going to go. So what I'm going to do for the second is I'm going to line her up with me. I'm going to take her out and take her up. And I'm going to hit return to home again, and I'm going to see if she goes higher than 20 meters, 25 meters, then I'm going to kill it, because a lot of these toy quads have got an automatic return to home. Normally you can alter it of 50 meters, and I don't want her going anywhere near that high. So I'm going to try it again and see exactly how far she goes. So she's up at 12. Sometimes they auto return at 20, which is fine. 18, 19, 20. Ah, she's auto returning at 20. I've got no problem with that. I've still got my finger on the return to home button in case something goes wrong. I'm going to move out of its way. Do you know what? She seems to be okay. 20.7 meters is her current altitude. She's just hovering there for the second. Probably just waiting for the next command to bring her down. Homeward, unlock and take off. There we go, now she's dropping. It does take quite a while, but I've seen this before with a couple of other quadcopters as well, so I'm not overly concerned. It's just be patient, it will happen. There we go. She's quite a way out by the look of it. Oh, I've got to move my bag again. Hello, Mr. Eachine. You're going to be cutting some grass for me. Yeah, you are. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. There we go. Right. She's back. So that's where she was. I just picked her up and put her down in the same place, just different orientation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5. 5.5 foot. Very roughly, you know. There's not an absolute, science to that. So 10 minutes and 42 we had of recording video, and I was 5 minutes into that particular flight. So let me just break out of that app, have a little look and see how long I've been recording video for. So there we are, we've got some raw video directly from the quad onto the phone of 10 minutes and 43, and the actual recorded time was 12 minutes and 47, and that was the screen recording, so that was from first takeoff. So it was saying that we had a 14 to 18 or 14 to 16 minute flight. 12 minutes, that's pretty much, you know, bang on. I did a bit of speed mode free flying, we did a bit of features with the return to home. I want to put another video out on this, just with a couple of other features and maybe using it return to home a little bit more. I'm going to calibrate it a little bit differently the next time. I'm going to make it a bit slower and see exactly how far we get with that. So far, my initial issues were that when we took off originally, let me turn all this off. When we took off originally, I don't know how well you saw it, you can go back and have a little look, but the quad, when I was just literally started the motors and then accelerated, the quad did that. So I thought we were going to have a bit of an issue when she came up, and I thought she was going to be pulling to the right. Fortunately, she didn't. When she hung there, she was absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. Again, what I like to do when I turn, I like to use yaw and roll so that you get a nice beautiful arc which is nice and controlled right the way around, so you have proper power going to the motors that are turning the quadcopter, and you have a nice smooth line that you're returning. That's exactly what I was getting to a point, but then when I tried just a bit of yaw, because I do like to just try and see exactly how well yaw works, she was coming round, and then if I took my finger off the yaw there, she was going to there and then carrying on. So she was still carrying on, but now that could have been that she was carrying on momentum. So as she was turning, the momentum of the quad kept her going. She's not heavy. That's the thing. If memory serves, she's under the 250 gram mark. She's not a heavy quad. You know, she's extremely light. So it could be that as she was turning round, it was just the momentum that if I stopped there, she kept on going to there, and it could have just been that it was happening on momentum. This little the little camera underneath here with the faceplate, it was just upside down. Remember we had a look in the unboxing? That doesn't look as if it has any bearing on the lens at all. The lens looks like it's actually facing the right way. That's just the little cover that is upside down. So even though it's nice to have attention to detail and it would be nice to have that around the right way, having it upside down doesn't look as if it makes any difference whatsoever to the orientation of the quad. Now what my next step is to give this quad a bit of a, that battery's a bit warm, give this quad a little bit of a cool down for the next 5 or so minutes, and then whack in the next battery, take her back up and see exactly how we go there. Now as for the motors, every single motor is nice and cool. So every single motor is nice and every single motor is nice and level. So there's not one which is powering the quad any more than any other. Normally what you have is if you have one warm motor, that one is either damaged or working more, or it's not balanced properly. So therefore the propellers are spinning at a slight angle, even if it's just a point one or whatever of a millimeter, you're still going to have the quadcopter moving a little bit strangely, and that motor is going to be very, very warm. We don't have that with any of these. They are stone cold, so I'm very happy with that. And the ventilation here obviously helped, because even though the battery was warm when I took it out, it actually wasn't hot. It was just quite warm. So to be fair, I'm not too bothered about that. Now that's what I think after one flight. Let's do another flight and then I'll give you a little bit more of a rundown on what I think from that point then. And then we'll have a look at the final, my final thoughts of this quad. It's not going to be as long a week as usual, because this particular quadcopter isn't as featureful as some of the others. So therefore it's going to be a little bit of a shorter week of us going through. But I'm going to treat it the same, and we're going to come up and we'll have a little look and see exactly what I think after I've done another couple of flights with this. All right, my friends, well, thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and ring that bell too. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.